So there's a girl in Oregon, in Eugene, named Jeanette Maples, who was murdered by her parents back in like November, beginning of December-ish. And the sad thing about this is that she had been a victim of abuse for the last, I don't know. She got taken away from her mother when she was about 1, went through foster care for 4 years, and then went back to her mother when she was 5. She lived with her mother from the time that she was 5 until the time that her mother murdered her at the age of 15. They starved her, they beat her, everything. It's horrible. They eventually beat her to death. Right? This is how bad it gets, right? The grandmother called Child Protective Services of Oregon somewhere between 3 and 8 times. Her teachers and school administrators called. Friends called. Neighbors called. Everybody called. And yet, Child Protective Services did nothing. They didn't even do an investigation. This could have been completely avoided had somebody actually done their job. Now, what eventually made me really, really angry, I mean, this is already a really sad situation. Just starting it off right there. This is horrible. This poor kid was tortured to death by her parents, well, her mother and her stepfather. Now, what gets me even more is a couple of things. Number one, somebody tried to blame this on Obama. The fact that somebody murdered their child is not Obama's fault. The fact that the Oregon Department of Human Services has issues is also not Obama's fault because they've been having issues for like ever. There are multiple complaints against them because they don't do shit. They're one of those government agencies that make the rest of us government agency people look really, really bad. And then there was the guy who said that it was basically this girl's fault that she was murdered and abused, and that nothing happened. Because supposedly, so she was murdered at 15, she went to middle school from, so that's like 11 to 14-ish, because she had 1 year of homeschooling before her mother killed her. So in that 3 years when she was going to public school, she was supposed to run away while she was being starved and beaten, and her mother dropped her off at school, and her mother picked her up from school. So when was she supposed to run away? Just leave class in the middle of the day? Teachers call when you ditch. Teachers call when you don't show up for school. And while the teachers knew that stuff was going on, you know, all they had was they'd seen bruises. And the daughter, you know, was told, don't tell anybody, tell them that you fell. And nobody really believes that after a while. So the other thing about that is that if you're being abused and you're a child, and it's the only thing you've ever known in your whole life, how terrifying it is to go against the person who is your abuser. What if Child Protective Services doesn't believe you? What if they decide that you're lying? What if your parents catch you before you get to a safe place? What all these things just go through your head. I mean, I've been there. I know. It's really scary to be able to go against the people who are abusing you. And when you're a kid and you've never really known anything else, that's even harder. And to blame murder of an abused child on the child is pretty fucked up. I don't have another word for it. It's fucked up. Okay? There. I said it. The other side of the coin is that there are people commenting on the news article saying, well, it's all in God's plan. What kind of sick motherfucker makes up the plan for the long-term torture and starvation and eventual beating to death of a child? Tell me where that fits into the plan, because I cannot think of a single person who says, oh yeah, that sounds great. Well, first we'll torture her for 10 years and we'll starve her, and then you can beat her to death in a bathtub. I think that'll help the world, like, be really great. Yeah, I think it'll do something. And then you'll end up in jail and go on trial for aggravated murder, and if they let you into the general population, well, people are going to kill you, because nobody likes a child murderer. Sorry about that. And even if you do survive going through the general population, you end up on death row and then the state kills you and then you die. So what purpose does it serve? Tell me. Tell me where it fits. Where the torture and death of a 15-year-old girl fits into God's plan. Does it make you feel warm and fuzzy? Because I don't feel very warm and fuzzy. In fact, it makes me think that maybe this God fellow isn't so great. I don't believe in God, that helps. But I hope the people who murdered that kid rot in hell.